kicking off with a look back 10 years and then a look forward to the next decade, and we have some great guests with us. Let me start by introducing on the far end here, and we can take a seat as soon as Dr. Susi is up. Seat, thank you. First on our far end here, we have, you all know Suzanne Case, who is the chairwoman of the Board of Land and Natural Resources. She also chairs Hawaii's Climate Commission, which was established last year to advance Hawaii's commitment to the Paris Agreement. Next to Suzanne, Ramsey Tom, who just did a great job kicking things off for us and keeping the energy high. And then finally, we have Papa'ali'i, Dr. Tusi, with the University of Hawaii. And Dr. Tusi, I invite you.
Te whalao atu whaaloalo, te walaau se sui mai Hawaii.
Nā pupuna nā iwi. E au, kumuhina. Mai.
Sila whanga maulunga mai al pa ia malu tele lau fia. Te tautalatu teu man whaaloalo. Te walaau atu ia te oe. Whaamanuia mai iau. Ma uiwi tua a o Hawaii.
E haawi mua I ka leo mahalo. Me ka leo aloha. Ke aloha o ka aina. Ke aloha o nā tūpuna ia oe. E ka mea o ka leo ka lana kila na ka lālani ali'i. O papa'ali'i. Te aloha nui no ia oe. Mahalo anui tu kato hui ana. A mahalo anui no te ia launa ana, no te ia manawa kato e launa nei. Mahalo nui no te ia manawa ho o hano hano, ho ihi aku, I ka malu o nā tūpuna. Ke olu olu, e launa no ho I paha kātou. Me ka leo pule ane ia lākou, e kipa mai, a e launa mai, a e noho mai me kākou I ke ia noho ana. O kinui kalani e kini o ke akua mano ke akua I luna ke akua I lalo ke akua I uga ke akua I kai. Mai nā kukulu o ka hiki a hiki Hawai'i inui a ke a Hawai'i inui kua uli. Hawai'i ka hiki no ka la pi I mai I hae hae. O mā lae kalani I ke a o he a o ka mala malama. O mai kalamo ka ike ka maupopo ke a ka mai. O mai ka I ka hele ana, ka noho ana, ka hana ana. O maluhia ke ola ana, ka imi ana, ka naue ana I ke ola pono. I pono mauna gule ana pau. Mai na wele launa gua lono na gua hiwi na gua mauna. Mai kaulana ka la I le hua, ho I papahana moku a kea. He kai a kea nalunui a kea moana nui a kea. Wa I kia ho I kia la nui o ka iini ka nuu e kulia mauai. O halia aku nei leo I damakani nui, damakani igi, damakani hea au mākua nā kia I o ka pō me ke ao. No u kana au au, kana au haa, kana au pono, kana au mae, kana au aloha ke aloho nā gupuna. No luna pau mai ka mana nui. E aloha gu, e aloha mai, e aloha nui hoi e ola hoi nā mea pau, lele I mauli ola, lele wale a gu e. A mama, ua noa. Mahalo.
Jeff. Kana. Any volunteers? Oh, thank you, brother. Mahalo.
Mahalo kumuina.
Thank you, Dr. Tusi.
Jeff, if I may, just to share this with our visitors. What you just witnessed and experienced is a protocol that Papa'ali'i Tusi took the time to acknowledge this place the kupuna, the elders, the people of this place, not just here in Ka'alia where the Hilton Hawaiian Village is, but all of those kupuna that came before us. And Kumuhina of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs assisted in acknowledging and responding to the request to be present, to permission, which was an old custom. You don't enter someone's house without being invited, or at least asking for permission. So please join me in mahalo to Dr. Tusi. Yeah. Mahalo.
Thank you, Ramsey. Thank you, Dr. Tusi. So a decade ago, Hawaii embarked on a bold experiment. It was called the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative. This was a partnership between the state of Hawaii, the federal government, Department of Energy, and then later our utilities here in Hawaii. At the same time, a guy named Hank Rogers, Hank, are you with us today? There he is, Hank, started the Blue Planet Foundation and kicked it off with a summit in April 2008. A couple hundred people, everyone from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to former CIA Director James Woolsey, Hunter Levins, and the individuals you have on stage today. So what we want to do before we get started is take a quick peek at a highlight reel from this 2008 Blue Planet Summit and see where we've come in the last 10 years. So take a peek.
We have only one way, and that is sustainability. We have to go to another way of getting our energy. It just isn't working.
I mean, how is it? How is it? How could it possibly be economic? How have we deluded ourselves that it is economic? This island is 93% dependent for electricity on oil.
Just, a quick reality check. In Hawaii, we are effectively one supertanker away from becoming Amish.
And have an objective, and the objective for this island, set of islands, and for, I think, the national security side of this ought to be getting away from oil and back on the mainland, also getting away from coal.
Is that there is a difference between principles and practices. And I think that's what this speaks to, is that we have these principles and values, but at some point we got distracted from those. I think it's this continuum of ikawama, muokawama, hope is knowing that no, we don't want to repeat the errors of the past, but I think we have to keep in mind that there are others who are going to benefit from our decisions or suffer from those decisions if they're not good ones.
And they gave it a new word of a very ancient practice. They called it sustainability. So in reference to Ramsey's returning back to the future. So perhaps many of our answers, the very things you're trying to do here, indigenous cultures have been doing for millenniums.
Because all too often we found that we've parachuted in technologies that were relevant elsewhere, but we weren't quite aware of the impact that they were going to have in these places because we weren't there long enough to understand the long-term relationships of people to place and the ecology.
You'd see a lot of rooftops, a lot of new development, and the vast majority of those rooftops don't have solar, don't have, not even the most basic hot water, they don't have photovoltaic either. Despite the fact that each of those rooftops gets about 15 gallons of gasoline in energy equivalent every day, just blessed with the sun here at 22 degrees latitude, and we're not putting that to use. And I think that's, not to make predictions or to prescribe technology, but I think that's one of our solutions in the near term, really, is to have localized neighborhood grids that tap into that easy resource.
We're just in that transition point where it is incredibly important to move forward and incredibly vague about what the right way to move forward is. And that's why we have this multidisciplined approach and a lot of different technologies to look at, a lot of different approaches. What is corporate courage here is about moving forward even when we don't know the answers and bearing that discomfort of thinking, oh, maybe I'm making the wrong decision here.
The time for this is now. Thank you very much.
So here we are, 10 years later. Initial reactions after watching this, other than, I have to say, you three aged very well. Ramsey, you look the exact same. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I earned every grade I got. So it took a lot of energy. Thank you.
So Suzanne, Ramsey shared from root to fruit, thinking about looking back. Did we plant the right seeds 10 years ago from your vantage?
Absolutely. And I think, people in this room were at that point too. I think we're all, then and now, but even more now today, in a state of collective commitment to this new path into the future. Certainly, we are working very hard on it now. With governors supported the renewable energy goals, the climate commission, carbon neutral, and that's what our job is. And this collective conscious commitment, I think, is even stronger now. And there's a stronger sense of urgency. We've seen, floods. We've seen sea level rise. And I think what's different now is we have a much more detailed sense of where we need to go. You reminded me that 10 years ago, I was very proud that I had some solar panels on my roof and I had a Prius. Well, now I'm at net zero and I have a Leaf. And those individual commitments and collective commitments in government, in our community, and in our country and on our planet are all the stronger now.
Dr. Tusi, you view things from this deep cultural understanding and sense of place. From your perspective, are we measuring the right things? Have we measured the right things over the past decade?
I think one of the more salient shifts, though it's not as fast as we would like to see it, is the terminologies used. 10 years ago, the emphasis was on building structures and things to fix problems. I think the language today is growing things and healing problems. It's a different mindset. It also goes with many of you who are here as leaders. The concept of leadership in Oceania and among our traditional leaders is good leaders lead, but great leaders heal. If you have that mindset of a leader, the problems of the earth cannot be fixed, but they can be healed. So perhaps what we need is, one requires a mechanic, the other is a gardener. So perhaps today we need a mechanic, the heart of a gardener.
Ramsey, from your perspective, thinking about this gardener versus mechanic analogy, I know you look a lot at the underlying patterns and structures. Are those aligned for success in Hawaii?
I think we have come a long way. The fact that we have set, as someone said back then, the stake in the ground to guide, direct, to call us out. I think the next step, or this part, is to really shift our behaviors to be consistent with that, right? Hank mentioned it back then, that we had to start then and put things in front of us. Raise the bar, raise the ceiling, create space for us to move in. And I think, yes, we are doing that. At the same time, however, the cautionary note is that we don't chase shiny objects, and that we make these decisions without forgetting who we are and where we are. And that would be something I hope we would all keep in mind, because there are a lot of solutions out there, some transitionary. But before we commit ourselves to those things, to your last question, what are the measures of success when we may have great energy resources, but we still have people living on the street without homes? So what is the measurement? So I think it comes down to our values and ultimately to our behaviors. And I think we're seeing that shift.
Suzanne, you chair the Climate Commission. Governor Ige signed, first state in the nation to agree to commit Hawaii to the objectives of the Paris Climate Agreement. When you look at the numbers, though, the carbon budget we have is pretty limited. Do you feel we're moving at the scope and the scale necessary to achieve those objectives? And if not, what's the path forward? What do you see from this viewpoint? What's our path forward?
I think we're we've made the right commitments, and we're in a much better position of collaborating now, talking to each other among ourselves and with the greater community, with the U.S. Climate Alliance that Governor signed, committing Hawaii to work with the other states in the country. There's 17 of them now that have made this commitment, regardless of what our federal policy is. We have a lot of work to do. We have to really jumpstart. We've made great advances in renewable energy, but we have a long ways to go. And so we really need to push those forward. We're really just getting started on looking at ground transportation and how to convert our vehicles and also reduce them so that we get a lot more vehicle miles traveled out of the resources that we have. So we have a great deal to go in that direction.
So did I understand you went from the hybrid to the Leaf now? So you did make the commitment to electric vehicle?
Yes.
Ramsey, again, from your perspective, we have a long journey ahead. What values do we need to pack with us to navigate this journey? What's going to help us the most?
Well, I mentioned in my opening remarks that we not lose sight of where this gift comes from, called renewable energy. And that as we access it, receive it, and work with it, that it is not with the attitude of taking anything. As we take ourselves into the future, we are not taking from this place. That if we are operating with the spirit of aloha, the reciprocity agreement of giving and receiving, is that as we receive these gifts to assist us in moving forward and living in the conveniences of our time, that we do so with a future generation in mind. That these resources are theirs as much as they are ours. And so that would be the one thing that I hope that we all take away, but also share with those that follow. And I'm so glad to see that the foundation has continued the conversation of working with youth, the next generation. For every time we talk about sustainability, the future tends not to be in the room with us. And so that's what I would hope that we continue, is that as we make promises for others to follow, that we might consult with them before we do that. Yeah?
Dr. Tusi, do you agree with that perspective? What's really our guiding star here as we make this journey? What's our North Star?
In our world, there's only been one star that guided us to our destinations in everything that we do. From Easter Island to Aotearoa to Hawaii, our Pacific ancestors. That one star is the star that's there. You can see it only if you believe it. It's aloha. And the basis of aloha is healing. I'm a stay-at-home grandfather. The more I look at my grandchildren, the more meaningful it becomes. So I teach them the same things that I advocate and share with others. That the road to aloha is engaging with humility, embracing with respect, and sustaining with aloha. Even if it means looking at technology and introducing it. You follow that process. Through healing, it connects. Through fixing, it's a crapshoot. But I think the beauty of what this place has to offer is the values of our culture and the fact that we are still here after 3 million or 3 millenniums speaks to the value and the endurance and sustainability of those values. Practice it among yourselves and with each other, your organizations. And I think we'll all arrive at that destination because it takes boldness to turn into the wind and reach for those shores yet untouched. And I think Hawaii is getting much closer than most places.
It sounds like they added some time to the clock. So I think when they applause, they add time to the clock. So we could keep going here for a little bit. So let's build on this notion of the gardener and the mechanic. and great leaders being healers and healing. You mentioned a bit about Hawaii possibly being that model for the globe, demonstrating what that could look like. I'll throw out a curveball here. Donald Trump is going to be landing in a few hours, a few miles from here. If you had 30 seconds with him, what guidance would you offer for the next decade, particularly for our climate and our energy challenge? Ramsey?
That was a curveball.
From the notion of healing, thinking of the challenges we have.
And I think that's a critical thing, you know, healing. Whether it's the Department of Economics, the Department of X or Y and Z, it'd be interesting if we looked at everything under the Department of Health. Not necessarily ours here, but the Department of Health. It's healthy businesses, healthy communities, healthy ocean, health. And I think when we look at it from a healthy standpoint, what's a healthy reef look like? What does a healthy aina look like? More importantly, what do healthy people look like? And the decisions are made based on that outcome. And if we can go home every night and say, is everyone fed? Is everyone eaten? Is the land healthier and our children safer? Those are different metrics that I don't think is currently guiding the decision making. And I would ask perhaps to integrate that. And yes, I think while we need to be tough sometimes, it shouldn't be in the absence of aloha. So I'd ask, what are those metrics? How do we know that our children, that this new energy resource is actually benefiting us? Because children are happier, safer. Our kupuna are living in their homes. Yeah? And everyone is eating. Right? Nutrition, not just calories.
Suzanne?
Well, ironically, I think as the U.S. got ambiguous about its commitment to the Paris Climate Accord, it drove all of us locally and regionally to make those commitments. And that was really important because it's not going to happen if you expect somebody out there to do it. And, you know, in my work, we work with communities a lot, and people often say, what is community? What's my community? And the way I look at it is, what do you malama? What do you care for? What place do you care for? Whether it's your neighborhood or your ahupua or your island or your country or your planet. And to make this shift, we have to malama at all of those levels. And we are doing that now.
That's a great point. Dr. Tusi, do you want to bring us home?
I'm too unworthy to instruct the office of the President of the United States, much less the President of the United States. What I can't show, what I can't instruct, I would be more than happy to show. And if he came to Hawaii, it would be to invite him to my home, to see that there are ways in which we can heal and build a better way to achieve an end state that would be a benefit to all people as well as the environments in the world. That's what I would do.
Great. Well, thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Tusi, Ramsey, and Suzanne.